Welcome back, folks. Great to have you with us. And we have the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, joining us for a few minutes here to exult and to explain the future with now the tax cut having passed both the House and the Senate. What happens next, Mr. Speaker? When does this actually go into effect, and how will people first notice it?
Hey, Rush, long-time listener, fourth-time caller.
And congratulations, by the way. I mean, this is a big, big deal for you all, and I think it's a testament to stick-to-itiveness.
It is, yeah. We've been pushing this thing. I mean, I first met you when I was working for Bill Bennett and Jack Kemp. We were pushing this stuff back in those days.
Empower America.
It's exactly this has been
right.
A long time in coming. We've been pushing this hill this rock up the hill for years. I'm so excited we finally got here. It's a big, big deal. So many conservative wins in this bill. I mean, more than just tax reform. We got rid of the individual mandate. Remember you asked me about that the last time we talked?
I did.
That's in here. We got ANWR. We've been working on trying to open up ANWR for drilling for decades. That's in here, which is really going to help us with our energy independence agenda, not to mention the historical tax cut and tax reform bill that we've got here. So it starts, to answer your question, January 1, 2018.
So in the first pay period following January 1, people will notice changes in their withholding.
Yeah, so what we anticipate, because we've been working with the Treasury Department on that, and the President and I spoke about this yesterday, is in February, because they're working on doing that, we think in February we can get the IRS to change the withholding so that they take less money out of people's paychecks in the first place, and employers also can put more money in paychecks. So we believe we can get the Treasury Department, this is the administration's job, but they're working on this, to get withholding tables to reflect this tax cut starting in February.
So that's what the president meant
yes.
by February's withholding tables.
That's right.
Explain to me, since I brought this up earlier and before I branch off to other things, what is the practical meaning now, or the practical application of the individual mandate being removed? I know that's a large part of the guts of Obamacare, but what's that going to mean to John Q. and Mary Citizen going forward?
It means you do not have to buy where the government says you have to buy. The individual mandate is a law that says you have to buy Obamacare insurance if you're in the individual market, and if you don't, you're going to pay a tax as a penalty if you don't buy that. So that is removed and repealed. So you don't pay this penalty, you don't pay this tax, you don't pay it at all, so we're not going to force you to buy something you don't want to buy. You'll get to buy what you want to buy without a penalty.
Is this, in your mind, does this move forward any kind of a timetable on dealing with health care as an issue? I don't want to say repeal or replace Obamacare, but this is a large part of Obamacare gone now.
Yeah, you're pulling at basically the biggest string of Obamacare. So by pulling this out, we're basically taking away the core architecture of Obamacare. And we believe that gives us the ability to go back and address these other issues. What we really want to do is give states the ability to set up their own insurance markets so that they can get premiums down. My own state of Wisconsin, if we can go back to setting up risk pools like many states had, where you can help people with catastrophic illnesses get affordable coverage, you can actually dramatically lower everyone else's premiums. That's the kind of reforms that we're talking about that we want to see done. And getting rid of this individual mandate, we believe, will help us get there.
Okay, that's why I asked you this, because I think there's so many potential benefits in this tax bill that are going to grow the economy, improve people's standard of living, and I don't think it's all known yet. I don't think it's all been accurately spelled out. I think that's why your buddies Pelosi and Schumer are in such a panic trying to mischaracterize this, because they know how effective this was back in the 1980s and what a boom that caused. They know that this can do the same thing. And you throw in gutting the Obamacare mandate, that's going to cause action to be necessary to fix what's wrong with health care. And now you've got the wall, you've got immigration. You guys are on a roll, it appears.
So it's exactly how we see it. We see it the exact same way you just described it. In the House, as you know, we've been rocking and rolling. We've been passing everything. We passed funding for the wall back in spring in the House. But we've got a Senate that we have to deal with that has different rules than we do. They move a little more slowly, but you got to give it to them. They totally stepped it up here, got it done. We're going down to the White House in a few hours to do an event with the president, because we just passed it. We just passed this thing like 20 minutes ago, the second time around in the House. So it's done. It's on its way to the president right now. I've got to sign this thing in a few minutes. or a few hours to get this bill down to the president's desk. So we're excited about it. This is happening, and we are on a roll, like you say. And I tell people, go to fairandsimple.gop, fairandsimple.gop, because you'll see all that this does. If you have children, this doubles your per-child tax credit from $1,000 to $2,000. If you're a taxpayer, your tax rates go down no matter who you are. We double the standard deduction so that almost 90% of Americans will still, under our earlier version and this version, they'll be able to fill out their taxes on a form the size of a postcard. That is radical simplification of the tax code, and it dramatically diminishes the power of the Internal Revenue Service. So many conservative principles were advanced here, not to mention the individual mandate, not to mention oil and gas independence by getting the oil out of Alaska that's been locked up there for years. We're very excited about this. And I want to thank you, Rush, for helping us get there, for helping get this message out. And I want to thank your listeners. Conservative grassroots activists have been staying with us and keeping us on point and supporting us while we go through this, in spite of the liberal and the media onslaught that have confused people about what this bill actually does.
Now, well, let me repeat something. I appreciate that, but I really am serious. I think this bill has more potential to radically alter for the good the United States economy and to draw such a contrast of what this economy has been the last 8 and maybe even 16 years. This has the potential to unlock things that people don't yet know will be unlocked, unlock more growth and revenue being produced, created, sent to Washington as form of new taxpayers and new tax revenue. I think we're on the precipice here. And you didn't talk about the corporate rate, and I want to ask you about that only because I'm getting slammed here with seminar callers who are trying to convey a message that you guys, by cutting the corporate tax rate here, are busting the budget. You're breaking the deficit. You're adding to the national debt. And, of course, corporations aren't going to give anybody any money like Savannah Guthrie tried to do to you today. You're living in a fantasy world, Mr. Speaker. You think corporations are actually going to grow. You think they're actually going to hire people. This is a woman who lived in the fantasy world that Obamacare was going to lower everybody's premiums. Now she's questioning you about it.
Yeah, I was there. I actually, I got that. I was wondering to myself, and you wonder why people are confused about what this bill does.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So, look, I mean, the corporate rate right now today, it's 35%. On New Year's Day, it's going to be 21%. You know what it is in the industrialized world on average? 22.5%. We've been hitting our corporations harder with taxes than any other country in the industrialized world.
Well, we should be, because the left says corporations kill their customers and don't want to help anybody, and they don't give anybody raises or health insurance or any of that. Corporations ought to be made to suffer. That's what the left has got people believing.
That is what they've got people believing, and guess what they're doing? They're pushing them out of this country. The companies have been inverting, becoming foreign companies, have been bought by foreign companies. They're moving jobs overseas. I talked to the guy who runs Intel, a huge corporation, microprocessors, 50,000 employees in America. Under this current code that occurs before New Year's Day, they would have saved $2 billion in taxes over a 10-year period per factory if they just moved them overseas. That's what the tax code was doing to American businesses. It was discouraging growing things in America. It was discouraging investing in America. We completely reversed that with this bill. It now pays to stay in America. It now makes sense to make things in America. And if you're fortunate enough to be big enough to sell something overseas, now you can bring your money back home and reinvest it in this economy. And we have $3 trillion of cash that is trapped overseas that could not come back in this economy because of these goofy tax laws. We fixed all of that. And so now it makes sense to be an American company. It makes sense to make things in America. And if you sell something overseas, bring the money back. You can do it without a penalty. That's going to be good for growth. That's good for America.
Well, what do you say to people who are afraid that the corporate tax rate is going to end up adding to the deficit? How do you deal with that?
It was already, we were going to lose corporations if we didn't do this. So my own home state of Wisconsin, the biggest publicly traded company we used to have headquartered in Milwaukee was Johnson Controls. The thermostat at the EIB is probably a Johnson Control thermostat. They are now an Irish company. Why? Because the Ireland tax laws are better than the U.S. tax laws for now. And so this was happening all across the country. U.S. companies were leaving because of taxes. So literally we're going to stop the bleeding of U.S. companies leaving. That's number one. Number two, We are encouraging companies to stay and invest and grow here. That will create more jobs. That creates higher wages. That creates higher tax revenue. So of all the tax cuts that are in this bill, the one that has the biggest bang for economic buck is going to be the corporate tax rate reduction. You ought to have Art Laffer come on your show and tell you about how this works, because he has been proven right over and over again.
I already know how. I tell these people you're going to have growth here that nobody's got the guts to project. You're going to have growth anytime.
I think that's right.
Anytime you put that much more money in the economy, I don't care where it is. If you put it in the bank, if you put it in stock, when you put that much more money in the economy, it can't help but expand and grow it. It's all good in that sense. The only reason this comes up is because the left has succeeded in creating this Darth Vader impression or image of corporations and the whole notion of industry.
That's right.
That it's out to hurt people, that it's out to screw people, out to kill their customers and so forth. And it's hey, you said you're going to the White House for a signing ceremony. I understand the decorations this year are just awesome.
You know, I've been over there twice, or no, 3 times since they put that stuff up. It's really something else. Melania did it all. It's beautiful. I've been down there many times. This is the best I've ever seen. The president had us over the other day for a movie. The Darkest Hour. It's a great movie, by the way. I'm a big Churchill fan. You probably are as well.
I have a copy of it right here in my
it's a really good movie,
formerly nicotine-stained fingers on Blu-ray. I'll bet you guys didn't watch it in Blu-ray.
I have no idea.
The decorations in my house are pretty cool,
in the White House, and the president had us over there, so we watched the movie, with the president, and then he gave us a tour of all the Christmas stuff. It's really something.
The president invited you guys up to see the decorations and watch the movie?
Yeah, just a couple days ago.
Really? I didn't. Oh, cool. Okay. Well, invitations went out. Cool. All right. Well, Mr. Speaker, congratulations. Have a great time getting back up there, see it all again, and congratulations. I hope my instincts on this are right. I hope, because of my knowledge of the 80s and what happened, because my knowledge how the left is in a panic and trying to destroy this with their revisionist history, getting rid of that Obamacare mandate, the guts to cut the corporate rate. What about capital gains? Does that change at all in this?
No, it doesn't. That was one of the casualties of the failure to repeal all of Obamacare. This is a big piece of Obamacare, but not the taxes. And so we're going to just have to get back at that later on.
Well, it's not punitive as it is.
No, it's 23.8. Effectively, it's 20% statutorily, meaning it's not as high as it used to be, but we would love to get it lower.
Well, congratulations. Thanks for your time here. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Rush. Merry Christmas.
Same to you. Quick timeout, folks. Back after this.
The courage to fight and the talent to succeed. Rush on the EIB Network.